احنا النهاردة نتكلم على نقطة that is fairly interesting and غالبا very controversial. It is my personal belief وهنشوف is it backed by حاجة ولا لأ. Not really بس maybe
Yeah.
in childhood trauma وtrauma دي can be variant من قليل لكبير really factors into making stronger more drived individuals لما يكبروا
Right.
in an overall sense like being particular about it طبعا بيفرق and أكيد cases like are variant لوحدها. تحبي نبدأ منين؟
Should we start من how مثلا how the child perceived the trauma or
مبدئيا when I say trauma varies like من حاجات صغيرة من حاجات زي just like poverty could be traumatic, abuse,
dysfunctional families,
yelling, fighting في المكان, حاجات that makes you feel unsafe, حاجات that makes you feel disrupted طول الوقت, أو just like neglect, undercare, lack of compassion في العيلة. كل ده could be traumatic because like with children small stuff matters وبتpropagate.
Yeah.
I don't mean حاجات التقيلة زي like sexual abuse أو domestic violence في المكان. الحاجات التقيلة they're obviously تقيلة. But I don't believe in it also leaves people like damaged forever who are unconciled. Cannot be conciled. اسمها ايه؟
reconciled.
You see? No, that's not right. Anyways, yeah. But
Unreconciled.
thank you for the effort. But yeah, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I do believe in people can come out like الناحية التانية stronger and more able to deal with حاجات like horrible في حياتك means ان انت هتعرف تتعامل مع the day to day. Like في example دايما واحد صاحبي to remain nameless هو عارف نفسه يعني بيتكلم فيه ان لما حياتك تخبط معاك you have a bad day.
Right.
الشغل تعبني والمدام مش شغالة ولا حاجات في حاجة traumatic حصلت لك في حياتك that you can always use as a reference.
Yeah.
بالنسبة له هو بياخد العربية ويروح هناك ويقول ما الحياة حلوة هي ايه الهبل اللي انا بعترض عليه ده بص كده فيها ايه انا عندي شغل مضايقني بس عندي شغل that I control عندي حاجات في حياتي that are under my control ساعات بتقلش فيها ايه anyways يعني that's beside the point so انا بتكلم
Actually, that's not beside the point. I think that's one of the main points of how you deal with whatever. I wouldn't call it trauma, but whatever حاجات بتحصل.
hardship.
Yeah, because it's quite important how انت هتتعامل مع الحاجات دي ازاي. And my worry في قصة صاحبك is that he's avoiding or he's shoving it down.
لا he's putting things in perspective لأنه هو
Perspective sure.
لأنه عارف what bad is so annoying doesn't qualify anymore. فلما يحصل لك حاجات كده اللي هو طب بعدين تروح تبص كده تقول لا يعني عادي الحمد لله احنا متغرقين في النعمة بس the main point is hardships وانت صغير.
Yeah.
So all the main اسمه ايه اللي هو the study that has been made that is prominent suggests ان الناس اللي بيحصل لها trauma وهي صغيرة او hardships صغيرة او كبيرة they affect them negatively in life. There is a bit of research done to support and ساعات بت affect them positively.
Do they explain what kind of negatively, like PTSD or
حاجات زي PTSD like حاجات with personal trust with commitment with stuff like that and just health wise general
anxiety,
stress, depression,
nightmares.
ساعات this is معينة كده وايه تاني like even physical stuff like heart disease and stuff like that.
Right, yeah.
So it all comes around and it's all proven to be negative. Like that's kind of accepted science. I don't know if it's factual. It's almost factual, but there is also some case studies which is different. But like that tries to prove ان some positive comes out of it. And when people get that much disturbance في حياتهم وهم صغيرين, it leaves them مثلا ايه with less need for control في الحياة. So that makes them more susceptible to change. بيعرفوا يشتغلوا under different conditions, more willing to move, more willing to
Right.
accept like حاجات كبيرة حصلت, like less in need to be in control of كل حاجة في حياتهم because they were never used to a pattern or routine وهم صغيرين. الحياة كانت بتخبطهم, so متعودين على تخبيط الحياة effectively. Which I feel is a very Egyptian attribute كده. احنا يعني
Take an Egyptian anywhere but Egypt هتلاقيه بيكسل.
إلى حد كبير. That's
Yeah.
always so impressive بالنسبة لي. أنت لما تلاقي حد يعني في مصر كده اللي هو إيه كان بيتداس عليه بس هو عارف إن هو المفروض يكون بيتداس عليه, طلع بره لقى نفسه عارف يشم نفس وخد فرصة وانطلق بيجري على طول. And like it always puzzles me إزاي في ناس هنا أو يعني في أي حتة that is kind of مرتاحة are not aspiring as much. I cannot طبعا attribute الكلام ده اللي هو ايه الناس دي كانت حياتها مرتاحة فمش عارفين ان هم محتاجين يتخانقوا. لا, like it depends on what you're looking in في حياتك. انت عايز فلوس, عايز سعادة, عايز هدوء, عايز طمأنينة, عايز تبقى accomplished, مش عايز حاجة معينة or another. لو انت حياتك مرتاحة انت عايز تفضل على وضعك مرتاح, مش لازم تبقى عايز تبقى مليونير ومش لازم تبقى عايز تبقى ناجح by the common standard of نجاح.
Yeah.
Because نجاح is to everyone's like perspective. It's all relative.
So I think what I believe في الموضوع دوت is it all depends on how you handle the trauma. So and when you actually perceive the trauma. So على حسب انت كنت صغير when you حصل لك ولا انت كنت كبير لما حصلت لك التروما. But there was an interesting book I came across كان اسمه the psychology of trauma, an adult survivor. I'll put the name in the description. But yeah, and it was basically describing how أصلا you develop the idea of yourself, like your cognition. So basically في حاجة اسمها assimilation وفي حاجة اسمها accommodation. And assimilation basically ان انت as you grow up you're encountering حاجات حواليك and you're building your cognitive opinion about العالم دوت. So every time you encounter حاجة جديدة you بتقعد بقى تزودها للحتة اللي already موجودة. Oh, that fits in this, that fits in that, and then that's how you build up your impressions, your ideas, your etc. And then once you encounter a trauma, you don't really know where to put it, and that's when you need to accommodate الحاجات
Does it shake everything up ولا kind of make its own category?
That's where my next point comes. So the theory of the constructive self-development is it all depends on the person. So you have an active role to actually انك ترد على التروما ديت او تشوف هي هتأثر فيك ازاي. So it's you who decide whether انت هتزودها لحاجة تانية او ان انت خلاص crack everything down and تبدأ من اول وجديد etc.
Burn it down وتبقى على نضيف.
Yeah. And the other thing, which I think mostly happens with the children أكتر بقى on how الموضوع ده هيفرق معاهم is the idea of explicit and implicit memories.
Yeah, الحتة دي is very interesting.
So you go through حاجات and normally as you go through الحاجات you need to make sense of the event اللي انت عديت فيها, whether it was a happy event or a negative event. So as you go through الحاجات your mind forms implicit memories. So مخك بيجيب الحاجات ويخزنها يحطها بقى في الارchive ونبقى نرجع لها بعدين. And with trauma like your mind does the same thing. So if this event جت وحصلت and you had no time to process it, to emotionally process it, to cognitively process it, انك تفهم ايه اللي حصل, how did that affect you, انت ليه متضايق, how you feel, etc etc etc, and then خليتها implicit, you never really get over الموضوع دوت. And that's the difference between مثلا kids who grew up in dysfunctional families and بيقولوا اوكي انا مش عايز اجيب عيال بعد كده اهوت عشان انا هفشخهم زي ما اتفشخت, or kids who are like انا هجيب عيال انا make them better people and better individuals etc etc. And that all happens whether you had the incident
to rise above ولا to tear down.
And it's all dependent on if you had the incident or the conversation مع حد to change this implicit memory into an explicit one.
هي الفكرة هنا, and that's always weird enough, no one wants to bring their trauma up. انت اتفشخت، انت مش عايز تتكلم على انت اتفشخت ازاي وفي ايه.
I think everyone wants to
And
talk.
everyone is defensive about التراuma بتاعته. like انت عايزني احكي لك ليه؟ انت عايز ايه؟ this is how you get off. انت عايز like cause like you never like في extreme case extreme abuse of sorts, you never thought ان انت الحد that you trusted this way would abuse you
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
فانت بعدين some strangers now coming out في كرسي قدامك بيقول لك احكي لي, and you're like انت بقى عايز ايه؟ so
مالك
yeah,
اصلا. Yeah.
so the barriers you have to overcome, which is why like it's widespread ان معظم الناس اللي حصل لهم major trauma وهم صغيرين turn to حاجات كتير, drugs and stuff or alcoholism, عشان تنام it down, عشان تpush it down, عشان ان انت how do I say it, to deal with it, to survive it and to rise above it. ده معناه ان انت محتاج تروح تحفر في شوية طينة, and it's just easy to shove it down with pour some alcohol on top of it, and غالبا هتسكت شوية.
So it's different personalities, I think, deal with it differently, but it's one of the things that one of the symptoms, I guess, as far as I understand, of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, where لو انت حصل لك حاجة, some people would keep on remembering الموضوع دوت, and every time they remember it, يجيلهم anxiety, guilt, shame, da 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 da. And then في ناس تانية, they would shove it down to the extent that they would just be numb. Like هم مش هيحسوا أي حاجة, and that's called like anhedonia. They would not feel anything.
ولا كان حصل.
Yeah, and then other people بقى, they would try to get their minds off it بان هم مثلا يشتغلوا بالزيادة, يعملوا حاجات بالزيادة, where they turn into workaholics, أي العبد لله. or yeah, so it's different characters deal with it differently, but I think that's how when they're trying to numb it down, it could be a symptom actually of something more severe, which I think like I think there should be some social workers and psychiatrists في every school level في كل حتة في العالم.
بالنسبة لي ازاي في الوطن العربي مفيش حاجة اسمها علم نفس وطب نفسي وسايكايتري
It's only
وسايكولوجي.
starting, بس يعني
وانت عايزني اروح لدكتور
مجنون.
نفساني وانا مجنون؟ مجنون يعني. عزيزي كلنا مجانين. ما تاخدش الموضوع على صدرك كده. What was the quote by Carl Jung اللي هو if the unconscious does not become conscious, it will arise and like it will rise up and become fate, حاجة along these lines.
doom us all.
yeah, it will like لو انت ما تعاملتش مع الخرا اللي جوه في subconscious, وانت عارف انه في subconscious and had to push you down. Because that's something very interesting that happens in like research shows that people of a certain abuse or victimization level tend to get re-victimized more than other people. Like victims of sexual abuse get to like مش get to طبعا like
eventually
tend to مش eventually برضو tend to suffer sexual abuse again في حياتهم.
Okay.
Because it's a pattern and it's all subconscious, like your mind is trying to deal with it one way or another, and حتى من غير like طبعا ما بيبقاش حد عارف, بس they attract the same kind of people. Domestic violence نفس الكلام, it's a cycle, and like حتى لو مش بتبريك you manage to break the cycle with بني آدم واحد, بتروح تلاقي بني آدم جديد بنفس ال attributes دي, because it's what your mind knows. Like I was listening to some guy talking about like الabuse اللي حصل له وهو صغير, and his dad was beating him up and all that, and he was saying إن في مخه what love means changed into like he's beating me for love, because he has to make sense of it, and he wants like he's looking forward to the beating, not exactly, but he's expecting the beating to mean love, and he wants it to happen, and he's no longer fighting it, and like الموضوع لسه like it hurts him, بس like it changed who he is fundamentally خلاص. Which is like
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a critical point when again انت بتحاول make sense of the but even like as a kid when you're trying to make sense of the world, and if this is the only expression of love that you're getting, then خلاص انت بالنسبة لك this is love, انت بالنسبة لك this is how people
it's
express.
interesting first like لو بنتكلم I'll switch topics وبعدين هرجع right away. لو بنتكلم على equality in an abstract point of view, equality is مهما كانت الريس بتاعتك او السكس بتاعك او whatever الباك بتاعتك, we should all get like the same equality of opportunities, because that's fair, that's
sure.
But technically speaking انت عايز تحط equality على الحاجات اللي people don't control. because it's not their fault, so they shouldn't be getting not like different opportunities because of it. But it's not your fault how you were raised. It's not your fault, technically speaking, who you
Yeah.
end up.
Oh.
You end up the result of what you were like fed as a child, and then حسب how that affected you and how you were, not even you dealing with it, how you were told to deal with it and how the dealing happened, سواء you dealt with it or not, ended up being who you are and قراراتك في حياتك. and لما كبرت وقلت انا عايز اغير الكلام ده, it was still affected by did you end up seeking help ولا لا, عشان انت في ال help seeking mentality ولا لا, عشان علموك كده وانت صغير ولا لا. It's crazy how much of your life does not belong to you, how much of your life is out of your own hand.
Yeah.
is ridiculous on a conceptual level. طبعا I'm not saying ان انت حياتك كده وانت مسير.
Don't be
no
passive.
طبعا.
Don't be passive.
مفيش حاجه اسمها
مفيش
كده.
حاجة اسمها كده.
it's all eventually in your hand.
كل بني آدم at some
لو
point.
المعلومه جات لك.
Yeah,
المعلومه جات لك and you can do something about whatever shit you're in, you start digging out. and at that point it becomes in your hand. اسمها ايه it's conceptually في الدين, ان انت لو ما تعرفش حاجه حرام بتعملها then it's not حرام لحد ما تعرف then it starts being حرام.
I don't know I don't know the term, but I know what you mean.
اوكي نرجع بقى ل PTSD وال so yeah I think ده كان original premise, بس احنا بعدنا عنه حبه on a conceptual level برضو. I keep saying that because انا عارف ان في ناس اتفشخوا في الحياه, في ناس experience trauma, وفي ناس التراما دي فشختهم في حياتهم وقاعدين دلوقتي في حته like had they been treated better وهم صغيرين, like they would rather be boring لو افترضنا ان الناحية التانية بتطلع boring than damaged but interesting. like no one wants بس it's a fine line. Without hardship, not trauma, without hardship there is less drive, I feel.
Okay.
And so I feel like a big هدف الموضوع ده كله في دماغي is how pampered everything is for children now. how الدنيا كلها لذيذة, كلنا زي بعض, there is no color or race, which is fair enough, بس fair enough. There is no up and down, there is no left and right. كلنا كسبنا
It's quite interesting
competition.
that how equal we are, but there's a strong emphasis on the individualism of كل واحد. We're all equal, which I completely agree.
snowflakes, كلنا.
بس we're all unique at the same time, so it's very hard to find the balance.
Well, like the thing they do with kids now, where كلنا كسبنا, كلنا رجعنا لابسين الميداليات, كلنا طلعنا الأول في الكومبيتيشن. So what's the drive?
Of an overkill.
Yeah. Why would I attempt to be better at that thing? لو كلنا هناخد نفس الحاجة. Like if I do the thing حلو أو وحش, I'll be treated the same.
Yeah.
You just removed like that's communism with extra steps and just for children. That's just ridiculous, صح?
ABC communism.
Yeah. Not that I'm a fan of capitalism, بس يعني ده ما يمنعش ان
Wait, you said communism.
ايه؟
Capitalism ولا communism?
لما بتكره كوميونيزم بيتقال عليك كابيتاليست. انا بكره حاجات كتير. انا fan of الكره. ما علينا. Let's not go into that. That's a dark hole.
I think the threshold هنا of whether you become a successful individual, I mean, at least مش threshold. I think what I want to say is children who go through hardships become more successful in a way. I mean, this is not statistically backed up or whatever. This is just
arguable by real life events. اللي احنا شفناه.
Because I think they have a higher threshold to الحاجات اللي بتحصل. So دايما بقولك like as they were developing وهم build up this cognitive view of life, هم بالنسبة لهم اوكي ما انا العادي ان انا شايف قدامي ناس بتتفشخ وناس معهاش فلوس وناس مش لاقي تاكل وناس and then so when they grow up they expect less and then they expect more of themselves مثلا and then
it's all up to me.
بالضبط انا اللي في ايدي اعمل اللي انا عايزه, انا في ايدي to get myself out of this.
very interesting outcome, isn't it? كنا بنتكلم في الموضوع ده how we were kind of raised to know ان احنا مالناش لازمه الى حد كبير. انت ولا حاجه.
inferiority complex.
it works out great. بس انت ولا حاجه في حياتك in the sense of انت مش ولا حاجه, انت حاجه بس انت حاجه مش لان انت حاجه, انت حاجه حسب عملت ايه في حياتك. حسب انت طلعت بايه, حسب بتعامل الناس اللي حواليك ازاي, حسب برك لاهلك والكلام ده كله.
In one way the ethics of it is good and انت you are your actions.
That's how we were raised.
Yeah, but in another way I think what you meant is at least what I understand is what you meant is إنه how you feel is not particularly important as long as ان انت
you come
مش
last في الايكويشن مهما كانت الايكويشن انت البلس سي اللي بتنسي في الانتجريشن دي موجود بس كده يعني علينا في العادي.
yeah. But I think yeah, I think the outcomes of the trauma برضه هتبقى مختلفة according to people. So some people venture into حاجات مختلفة. Some people would put themselves in overdrive بقى اللي هو أنا هفشخ نفسي عشان أبقى حاجة كويسة عشان
I never got
myself.
مثلا لما يحصل لك حاجة whether it be neglect or just like the casual trauma في البيت and people turn to self-harm والحاجات دي. I never got that.
So when I was a kid I used to self-harm and I grew up in a very dysfunctional family by the way.
حول ولا قوة إلا بالله يا بنت.
بفاجئك بحاجات كده.
أنا أشرب الشاي ده.
اشرب الشاي. So yeah, and I think the reason I personally used to do it is for two things. أول حاجة is again I was like shoving everything down. You know, I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to remember anything. To the extent that I felt I couldn't feel anything. Like أنا فعلا I didn't feel love, I didn't feel hate, I didn't feel happy, I didn't feel sad. It was just كل حاجة عندي كانت the same. And then I reached the point this is wrong. But the way I handled it was even worse because I just like thought that okay, if I self-harm, then I will feel something, and this would make me human in a way because I would be feeling حاجة. If it's not emotional, it's physical in one way. And then the other thing was, which sounds silly, but attention, because maybe if someone noticed that I was doing this to myself, there would be they would the reason I was doing this in the first place would stop them,
which is why I don't get it. I'm not belittling it in any way, but I really don't get it because you wouldn't tell anyone and you would hide it.
But you would wish that someone would figure it out.
ما هو السحر ده هيحصل ازاي طيب؟
دماغهم حلزونية.
Yeah, ما هي دي الفكرة. انت like فعلا ما فيش اي لوجيك. انا عارف ان ما هو
I know.
it's not a logical process فمش المفروض الاقي اي لوجيك هناك. بس يعني حتى emotional logic doesn't register هناك.
Yeah.
You're doing something in hopes it would be found
Yeah.
without ever giving a hint out for it to be found.
Yeah.
Is it in your universe, in your head وانت قاعدة بتفكري
Yeah.
لما يلاقوها كل حاجة هتتغير؟ فأنا مش هقول لهم هم اللي لازم يلاقوها.
Maybe. I mean, I was a kid back then. I don't really remember anything.
You weren't that young.
But I remember...
You had rational thoughts about it.
Yeah. I think another part of me is that I hated the situation so much. And I did not want to forget how much I hated it. Because I know, like, as time passes, you let go of things. And I didn't want to let go of that. And I was
لا ما
just like...
تقلقيش.
ما لتتش جو.
الخطة دي بتفشل كل ما تحاول تاني.
So yeah, and I didn't want to let go eventually because I always wanted to remember that I didn't like this in my life. So this was a way that if every time I'm going to look at this, I'm going to remember that this
But here's my question. Was there ever an actual attempt to actually harm yourself? Or was it more like...
As in like to take my life away?
Yeah.
No. I don't know. It was just...
Seriously hurt yourself? Well, not even that.
No. It wasn't that. It was just that... it wasn't that to cause... Like, I think I was rational enough not to cause myself harm in a bigger way. But I just did...
Did you ever research it?
No.
Interesting.
No. I mean, now ولا ساعتها?
لا ساعتها.
No, not really.
Did you instinctively pick it up? As in شفتيها في فيلم سمعتيها في حاجة؟
No. It's just like...
ايمو ميتال كان منور الدنيا ساعتها.
It's the dark phase. The dark ages. But yeah, it's just like... I think it just eventually came and then I ended up with that and I was just like... I mean, at first I used to like مثلا tear a pillow or like حاجات and I was just like, why am I doing it to a pillow? Pillows on bed. Like...
so compassionate والله.
But yeah.
But I think it comes full circle. Like it takes recognizing الحاجات دي عشان تعرفي وبعدين عشان تبدأي to try to reach equilibrium. Like I think ده هدف المفروض معظم الناس ان انت تبقى بني ادم سوي.
هي دي الفكرة. And I had so much negative energy and I had to let it out في حاجة معينة. And because I had no venue to أطلعها or to talk about it or
طب
whatever.
سؤال معلش. كنت you were such a workaholic في المرحلة دي.
Yeah.
Did it not matter? Did it not factor in? كنت
No,
بتفشخي
no,
نفسك في
actually,
الشغل.
the being a workaholic helped, so that came بعديها بشوية.
Oh, it balanced out.
Yeah. So it was just like I knew I had to stop this at some point, and I gradually stopped that. But I had to أعمل حاجة that I thought would be more productive, which is work. So I was just like work. No. But yeah, and that eventually balanced في الآخر يعني. And then eventually بقى toned the work down وبقيت بني آدم عادل.
طبعا.
اشرب الشاي.
خلص والله. لو عليا تبقى ساكت قافل بقي وبشرب شاي. Where to go from here?
But that's the thing. Like I think it's like self-harm and mental illnesses it's all like some people might ridicule that. Or like ابني روح اتوضى وصلي وشيل الافكار اللي دي من دماغك. And I ده مش منطقي خالص بالنسبة لي إن that's an argument تقولها لحد who is مثلا depressed or suicidal or whatever.
I think it's we've diverged from the topic بس يعني it's interesting still. It is very like ignored how physical depression is.
Yeah.
Depression is not just mental. It is. But there is a physical chemical imbalance في مخك.
Exactly.
And taking medication actually works.
Yeah.
That is prescribed and that is not overdone and that doesn't numb you up والكلام like الناس اللي كانت بتاخد medication وتبقى zombies obviously غلط. الناس اللي بتاخد medication that manages their levels والهرمونز اللي كانت بتقلش فوق دي so that they see life as is not as it's not like depression is not glass half empty. It's not pessimism. It's not
it's just
feeling
chemical
down.
imbalance of your brain.
Yeah,
and you need to
it's
sort
literally
that.
مخك بيقول لك everything is shit. And that's like دي حلقة لوحدها.
I mean, I remember لما كنت بعمل clinic visits بتاعتي هنا and I met a person and then he was diagnosed with clinical depression برضو and I remember like it was a very كده strong quote that he said and he was just like that he stopped taking his medication and he started getting the suicidal thoughts etc and then he was saying that what I enjoy like I don't remember exactly what he said but it was more like I like to know that there is always a way out and بالنسبة له like he always kept something that he knew that he could just whenever it gets too hard he could just do it and
oh he has a means of suicide at home a convenient means
yeah
okay very grim
yeah and
بس هو عارف ان medication works بس مش
Yeah.
بياخدها دايما
Yeah.
because
I don't know that it was like a one-on-one clinical visit مع
Yeah.
حد تاني so I didn't follow up
Yeah.
معاه بس and it was just like
it's always horrible with حاجات زي schizophrenia وكده اقنعك ازاي ان انت محتاج medication وانت schizophrenic
yeah like I speaking of schizophrenia I met برضو another lady that she was one of she had like severe schizophrenia but like she's not عادية and she was like I lost my virginity to UFOs and I'm like
ايه ده مش الaliens اللي جوه
لا to UFOs
كلهم
and like
لا
she
حول
lives
ولا
in a spaceship
okay.
and like and she believes that it's her reality like and she was just like
Now,
أنا
do you
مش
think-
بقول للناس عشان they wouldn't believe me because they want to
oh,
hurt
so she's
me
rational about it
yeah she's very smart and very rational but it's just that
بس
her
في
mind
البطيخ
her mind
now do you think she's actually hallucinating الحاجات دي ولا is she just escaping to the max
it's a lot of stuff it's the paranoia that comes with the hallucination that comes with it's all a package fam
بس medication would help severely في
Yeah.
الكيس دي
I mean it depends ما again في ناس medications بتفرق معاهم في ناس medication بتفرقش معاهم it really depends
isn't it just finding the medication like تقعد تجرب هي دي المشكلة
مفيش medications كتيرة
yeah, you keep fucking up الحاجات في السكة وانت بتجرب اصلا
بس the classic ones might not work مع كل الناس for whatever reason sometimes it would be genetic sometimes it would be حاجة and مش كل الحاجات respond to that drug and it was just like I mean I remember she would take her medications and she was very functional بتشتغل وبتتعامل مع ناس day to day lives but I think her psychiatrist convinced her not to tell الحاجات دي to people and she reasoned it in that عشان
عشان احمي نفسي
yeah
Okay.
But what's interesting is that sometimes it feels like her mind is tricking her, because every time, like, I remember she would say that I would want to take the medication, but some of the aliens would tell me that no, it's drug. They're trying to
Oh,
like
so
drug
she's
you.
hearing voices.
Yeah, yeah. She's like severe schizophrenia. And but she was a lovely lady الصراحة. Like كانت
كانت
حبوبة
حبوبة.
أوي. حبوبة جدا
الناس
الصراحة.
الروحها حلوة هي
بس يعني
okay, backtrack
back to the point.
all
يعني
the
احنا
way
سرحنا
to
شوية.
into yeah.
Yeah.
So مثلا seemingly if you have a bit of like hardship وانت صغير that leads you to want to be recognized, or that leads you to want to bury it somewhere, you become like a workaholic, and you like immerse yourself in something, and you find passions, and you keep yourself busy, because if you keep yourself busy all the time it won't come up في دماغك.
Yeah.
Inadvertently that's the recipe for success في الحياة. If you're well off وقاعد كده بتتشلاكس, هتقعد كده بتتشلاكس for
Yeah.
hours on end.
Yeah.
هتقعد كده بتتشلاكس like fine with your thoughts, and you won't get as much done in your day to day.
Yeah.
Not that like it requires hardship ان انت تبقى كويس, بس it definitely helps. It is like it is the silver lining of المشكلة.
Yeah. I wouldn't say hardships in a sense of يعني I wouldn't like promote child labor مثلا or whatever. بس يعني I would say
I wouldn't promote child labor. لا. I would find a good fine line to do
بالظبط.
it,
It's a challenge. You need challenges in life.
because اللي انا فعلا like اللي بيحصل في مدارس with like I don't know, like up until 12 13 year olds, where everyone's a winner and everything is happy and dandy, and like ليه? Who are we doing this for? What's the book you were
it wasn't a book, it was a paper I was
Okay.
reading اللي هي it was like a journal of philosophy حاجة كده, and it was is childhood good for children, and it was basically one of the points.
I don't agree with it all the way,
but
yeah,
it's like
it
one
made
of the
some
points they were saying is, again, why would you raise children in a phase that and convince them that this is nothing like what you're gonna see لما تكبروا, and then
Yeah.
promote دوت actually that everything life is جميلة, everything is like كلنا winners, كلنا
Isn't that kind of the generation that grew up بعدين في الجامعات wants safe space, wants restrictions on words, restriction on language والحاجات دي.
Yeah.
The safe space thing في الجامعة is ridiculous to me. الجامعة انت بتروح الجامعة عشان تتفشخ, عشان to get hit with reality upside the head, وتبقى
Culture shock.
مطبق بقالك اسبوعين وقاعد كده مش فاهم اللي بيحصل فيك ده. is this the real life, is it just fantasy? بتبقى قاعد مفشوخ. like الجامعة احنا كنا مفشوخين. انا فعلا ما عنديش اي فكرة انا ازاي كنت عايش. انا كنت بنام 4 ساعات في اليوم
وطبقوا
لمدة 4 سنين give or take, وكنت مستمتع عادي جدا. انا like the best friends في حياتي, like كل حاجة. قابلت حد كده all the fluffy shit aside. يعني ازاي متوقع ان الجامعة is where you want a safe space? You're gonna go out للعالم بعديها. Like what's the part where it's gonna prepare you? الجامعة is gonna be safe. No, الجامعة مش هتبقى safe. Is high school supposed to be safe? High school is where all the assholes are. Kids
it's
going
where all
through
the shit happens.
kids going through hormonal changes are just like كائنات مش بشرية. أنا معرفش هم إيه. طب يبقى keep it safe up until middle school. طب وبعدين
why keep it safe in the first
why
place?
keep it safe at all?
ليه shield the kids?
Who is this serving? The safeness دي. Who is it serving? عشان ما حدش يبقى alienated.
I think we think children are very vulnerable.
Fragile.
Yeah, and
They're
fragile.
not.
But they're more resilient than what we think. يعني both physically and emotionally if we handle them correctly. Like if you
Sure, ما تروحش تبعت الواد
شخو
like
يعني
North Korea. I don't know. I have no extreme example.
but yeah, like I think the key هنا is that at least the way I see it, you know, as the child goes through things, it's okay for children to go through good events and bad events and to experience loss and tragedy, etc. But the whole key هنا is how they make sense of اللي حصل لهم. Because kids tend to feel it's my fault. It's the blame. أنا السبب, and I'm always the and they self-project it عليهم. And I think that's the problem. So with everything that happens, there should be حد, whether it's schools, whether it's social workers, psychiatrists, even if there's a
What's the study where like الناس اللي كانوا جايين from broken houses where like أهلهم كانوا بيتخانقوا كتير, they were more perceptive, more like
اللي بيقولوا سوري كتير.
yeah, and that's their biggest
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
بيقولوا sorry كتير, and like they like the smallest things can make them feel trapped, feel
Yeah.
like they have no way out, feel they have no escape. But and so it led them to be more like aware of social cues, more aware of الحاجات الصغيرة. They can read the room أحسن, according to that one study. But
Yeah.
none of these are conclusive enough to be able to.
Yeah, you can generalize
Yeah.
الحاجات دي, but it's still interesting to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
given ان انا واحدة برضو ما بتعرفش تقول, دايما ممكن بتقعد تقول sorry.
Yeah, sorry على كل حاجة.
خبطت التلاجة, sorry.
ما بتعرفش تقول لأ. And that makes sense because انتي like
I
مش
always
انت.
want to,
Yeah.
no, even if it was me, يعني
Yeah,
أنا-
ممكن انت.
like I grew, I think this was, كنت عايزة acceptance of الحاجات اللي حواليا to fit in, and I think that was why I didn't know how to say no, because I was worried that no people would resent me or people هيزعلوا مني or whatever, and then until you have a baby and you realize, oh fuck, and like but yeah, يعني but I think that's what was going in my head. Yes, I'd have a, but yeah, you grow out of it eventually.
What's the recipe for growing out of it? Like, because that's the sweet spot, صح؟ انت you get all the drive and the workaholic traits without being a workaholic. You balance
Yeah.
it out في حياتك. And you get all the drive and you get all the need to excel
Yeah.
and the need to fit in and the need to stand out في نفس الوقت, and you get
Right.
كل ده and then deal with the emotional shit ورا,
Yeah.
and then تحاول تبقى as مستوي as balanced inside as possible,
yeah.
and keep all the benefits of it.
I think the sweet spot, yeah, is in انت once you need to, again, like make sense of the whole thing. You will not forget, so don't listen to people who tell you like forget and whatever.
What would Nietzsche always say? Stuff along the lines of ان انت you should not let go of the negative emotions. They're useful.
بالظبط.
Like you should not let go of
You just
envy
turn
or
them into
hurt or
something that
حاجات
would
دي.
push you forward.
Use them to
Yeah.
propel you forward. Use envy to make you aspire to be زي الناس اللي you're envious of. مش تقول لا envy وحش, ده
أنا
deadly
out.
sin. ما فيش حاجة اسمها deadly sin. في like human behavior that needs to be dealt with. So how did you deal with it? Is my
Personally,
question.
like it came
How
a
do you
different.
suggest? مش لازم personally.
I
بس
don't
لو
mind.
personally, يعني احنا قاعدين
so
برا
yeah.
كده.
So I think it's at different phases it was different. So like at the phase when لما أنا كنت في نص صلب الموضوع and I didn't have anyone to talk to, I think the best way I had to make sense of my own emotion, because I needed to vent it out. So I just like kept a journal. I was like writing everything down, which is funny.
darkness.
It was very, although like الجورنال تقريبا pink عليه butterflies and stuff من جوه, like محدش يفتحه. بس like so I think that's how I had to. I was my own like therapist in a way. Like I was just like writing it down, explaining it down, trying to make figure it
just
out.
like just articulating it.
بالظبط. And then you, because when the بتكتب you would kind of start thinking about, oh wait, but why am I feeling that? I know it's not my fault, but and then you eventually talk about the whole thing مع نفسك يعني. So that was it. But then eventually when I had the chance to
نكمل.
and then eventually when I had the chance to leave the situation, I think that was when I started to find distractions بقى, اللي هو like work, whatever بقى, hobbies,
تسحل نفسك.
yeah, بالظبط. So there was that.
But you need to eventually talk about it in length and
that was,
work through
I think,
it slowly.
yeah, that's eventually, I mean, it depends, because I was at this phase when I was just like still so bubbly, happily, so I used to talk with everyone about anything, and then eventually they were in the right people. Yeah, so that made things a bit worse. So eventually like barriers that was like كده, it was like whoop. And then you came and you had to like تحفر في الأرض لغاية لما تكسر barriers. But yeah, so it's like I think yeah, eventually you need to find the right person to talk about it.
Do you think you would have ever gone to a therapist?
Yeah.
Why didn't you?
I was about to, but then I had to just decipher. So just like
back home.
Yeah, so just like I left. So
كان حد عارف يعني كان قرار إجماعي في
no.
البيت ولا كنت هتسنيك out to a therapist?
No, I was just like I was gonna do it myself without had no.
أنا قصدي يعني كنت هتتعاملي انتي on the back.
Yeah. But yeah, because at some point you just feel like I need to talk to someone.
Yeah.
I didn't have like a lot of friends. I mean, I grew up in Saudi, so and Saudi قبل modernization, so it was like 10
السعودية
times.
اتغيرت والله.
It was like a lot worse than what it is now. So yeah, so there is that. But yeah, I think eventually you need to. I think the best way is to express how you feel. بأي طريقة بقى.
Yeah.
Music, art, paint. I had really dark paintings قبل كده زمان. But yeah, it's just like it's all about how you need to vent out.
It is extremely efficient, yeah, just to get it out. Like let's just talk about it is like literally the best way to deal with emotional baggage and stuff like that.
No, I think people would be a bit skeptical to talk about it at first with anyone. So you need to build trust and then talk about it. So
هي دي الفكرة ان انت توصل لمرحلة which is literally the point of therapists ان انت مش محتاج تروح تبيلد تراست وتعمل حسابك ان هو لا ده مش هيجادجمي، لا مش هيكرهني عشان كده، ده مش هيبقى like هيسيبني على
which is the best thing about therapists.
They
don't have an agenda.
You give them money, they listen to your thoughts.
Although
and
a lot of them abuse that. A lot of them are not like qualified enough to actually be a proper
therapist. They'll just prescribe pills and take money.
Psychiatrists.
That's psychiatrists, not therapists. Therapists are not allowed to
well, there are
prescribe.
psychologists and there are psychiatrists.
أنهي اللي ما ينفعش prescribe?
I always get them confused.
أنا عشان كده.
I need to go. I think psychologists are the ones that cannot. No, yeah, psychologists cannot. Psychologists cannot prescribe because they're more interested in the psychology, psychiatry. Like a psychiatrist is because
psychiatry
my
is the
supervisor
study of the brain.
الاثنين بيستدي الاثنين بس واحدة focuses more about your.
أنا قصدي the physical aspects of it.
Yeah.
And psychiatry is the.
بالعكس. Psychology is the emotional bit. Psychiatry is the it's a psychic. Almost.
تمام. وهندس لخبطة واحنا مش عارفين أصلا psychology و psychiatrist. ده الميجر بتاعك إيه؟
أنا translation neuroscience أنا ماليش دعوة.
neuroscience. في بيتها بس مش قوي. On this note فلننتهي.
I mean, stay healthy, talk to good people.
Yeah, find someone to talk to and always
express yourself.
اللي يقول لك hold it in، اللي يقول لك احنا رجاله ما بنتكلمش على الكلام ده. زهق فيه شوية.
Very good point. I don't like how we raise boys that إن هو أنت راجل ما تتكلمش about your feelings, but that's for another.
What do you mean? محدش سألني انت عامل ايه يا علي؟
تعمل ايه يا علي؟
محدش سألني كده من أيام.
Which is very wrong how we. I think just as we raise girls غلط, we raise boys غلط, and we end up in a very dysfunctional society. But that's for another podcast, I guess.
كنا معكم، كنا
سلام.
معنا. ليه قلتي كده؟